everybody. This is Bob Goodwin with Career Club, and welcome to another episode of Career Club Live. For those of you who are not familiar with Career Club, please check us out at career.club. Today's episode is being brought to you by our newest service that we call Next Placement, which is our innovation in the outplacement space, where we're bringing a more people-centered, empathetic approach to supporting transitioning colleagues. So today's episode, I am extremely excited. We have got the Chief People Officer for Kroger, Tim Massa, coming on. And just a little bit about Tim's background. Tim, as I said, is the SVP and Chief People Officer for Kroger, where he leads HR, labor relations, corporate affairs, associate communications, shared services, and aviation, which sounds like fun. Tim joined Kroger in 2010 as VP of Talent Development and was appointed CPO in 2015. Prior to joining Kroger, he served in several HR leadership positions at Procter Gamble for over 21 years. So clearly he's got an extensive global HR background in leadership development, performance management, strategy development, and employee communications and engagement. Tim got his bachelor's degree in marketing communications from the University of Dayton. Go Flyers. And with that, Tim, welcome.
Hey, Bob. How about those Flyers? Thank you for the shout out. Good to be with you.
Come on. It's so nice to see you. Thank you so much for joining us for a few minutes.
Absolutely. Great to be here. And appreciate your leadership and have been following your podcast. And I know that others really appreciate the insights and the folks that you've had on.
Well, thank you so much for saying that. And it's having people like you, Tim, that makes the podcast work. So again, knowing that you guys are staying super busy. How many associates do you guys have?
Right now, Bob, we're just under 450,000 and across 35 states. But we hope with a pending merger that we're engaged with now with the Albertsons company, we'll see that number rise to over 700,000. And we'll be in 48 states, hopefully one day.
Well, I hope that everything goes smoothly and as you guys wish that it would. But all that to say, those are really big numbers, and we know you're staying super busy.
Thank you.
As is our want to do, we like to just ask a couple icebreaker questions. So we've already determined you went to Dayton. So again, go Flyers. Where were you born and raised? Are you a local boy?
I am here, born in Cincinnati. You know, in Cincinnati, it's it's either what high school you went to and what side of the town did you grow up in. So I was a West Side kid. Elder High School, Elder Panthers, for those that know the city. But I actually moved 9 times with Procter and Gamble. I think I was a role model for Pack and Go. So we moved all over the place in the U.S. and had the privilege to live in Central Europe and Poland for 3+ years. But my roots are Cincinnati. I'm back in Cincinnati and love the Queen City.
Yeah. And you're right. That's how we know to ask what high school that you went to, because that is how we identify, or as you said, what side of town. So right. just a little bit about your family, Tim.
Absolutely. Met my wife, Lisa, first day of college at Dayton. She was from Atlanta. Her parents had gone to Dayton, and she was the only kid from Georgia, 35 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I have 2 beautiful daughters. Mallory lives in Dallas. She's in advertising. And Morgan's in New York, and she's a financial analyst in private wealth with JP Morgan. So
awesome.
They're doing great. And with all the moves, a number of them were before they were born, or they don't remember them, but they do remember Poland and Europe. And I think those moves helped shape who they are today and their change adaptability that they've done.
We've got a daughter that lives in Norway, and all of our kids have traveled pretty extensively, and it's a big world, and people are interesting, and cultures are interesting, and your daughters are very fortunate to have been able to get more perspective.
Yeah, likewise, Bob. That's great. Yep, very fortunate.
So we did a little bit about your career arc. So we know you did a long couple decades at Procter, and then at Kroger. So I'm very jealous of your time. So I want to be expedient here, but what do we find you doing when you're not HR stuff at Kroger? What are the hobbies, passions that you like to do?
Oh, well, Lisa and I love to travel. I'd love to go to Dallas and New York, where both our daughters are located. So they're great cities to visit. I do a lot of, I love Napa Valley. We just got back from a week out there a few weeks ago. We have friends out there. I love the wine country. I love the farming aspect. And going into small vineyards and understanding how they produce wine, the business side of winemaking and the family tradition and generations. I get a lot out of that. And I find myself most relaxed in that setting. I love that. I love that part of the country. In addition, we do a lot of charity work. I serve on our zoo board here, voted the best zoo in America, and
really is.
do a lot of foundational work that's geared toward children that are in poverty or homeless, and trying to help folks get a second chance that we call a new beginning. Maybe they had ran into a problem, but helping them get themselves back on their feet and thriving. So spent a lot of time in those spaces. My wife runs Dress for Success here in Cincinnati, another great volunteer firm, and helping people get back on their feet and start a career.
Well, we'll get into diversity in a little bit, but just sort of the diversity of the talent pool and increasing the size of opportunity for people that might come from a non-standard or non-traditional background is huge. And companies that, in my view, are smart enough to open up their eyes and see the possibilities, are going to be the winners, I believe.
Absolutely.
So just to start off, and this is kind of pretty high level, but I love your all's mission statement of feeding the human spirit.
Right.
And that's such a powerful statement on so many levels. Obviously it works, kind of on a few different levels, but can you just provide a bit of an overview for listeners who aren't familiar with it, what it means and how you see it being lived out in the Kroger culture?
Absolutely, Bob. It is, we're very proud of our purpose. And when we think about feeding the human spirit, it really is one customer, and we call our employees associates, one associate at a time. We find that an individual who loses a loved one, the first place they go to for comfort is their grocery store, because it's comfortable, it's knowing. And our goal is we want to try to provide uplift. We want to make the customer's day a little bit brighter. Could be a single mom. It could be somebody taking care of an elderly parent. It could be picking up a birthday cake or a graduation cake or flowers from one of our floral departments for a wedding. We're trying to brighten somebody's day and feed. Again, we're in the food business. When you think of food, we want you to think of Kroger and our banners out there across the country. But it really is about making your day a little bit better. And we always talk to our associates that they underestimate the impact they have on each other and on customers. And when you help somebody have a good day, you in turn have a good day. So, we talk a lot about creating an awesome customer experience. We have 11 million customers that walk through our doors every day physically, and over 4 million customers that shop us online every day. And when you think of the impact that you can do every day, our associates have a chance to make somebody's day better. We also want to have and create an awesome associate experience. And so the strategy, our go-to-market strategy to serve the customer and to enable our associates is really, it's foundational to really feed your spirit and to make it a little bit better. And all of that, Bob, is predicated on us following a set of values. No matter what, in any company we think about bringing into the Kroger portfolio or any decision we're making, we really look at our values to guide us to do the right thing with respect and diversity and safety and integrity. Things like that really are paramount.
Well, you make me think about, it's interesting because on a physical level, as you said, you guys are in the food business, like you're nourishing bodies, but everybody who walks in that store, we'd say 11 million people walk in a physical store every day.
Yes.
Are having 11 million different kinds of days.
That's right.
Right. And somebody might be having the best day of their life and somebody's having the worst day of their life.
Bob, to that point, for some people, it's the only contact they have in a day. And I remember our Mariano's business in Chicago created instead of self-checkout, I want to see the cashier, but I want the line to be slower. So I want to be able to, I want to read the magazine, and I want to take my time talking to the cashier versus, how do I get in and out of there fast? There's others that, hey, I want to do it on my phone. I want to bag my own groceries and I want to get out. But regardless, everybody comes in with something in their lives, and we're trying to just, again, meet their needs, and we want to have them come back. is the expectation.
Yeah, we had the opportunity to speak with Ed Bastian, the CEO of Delta, last month, and as I think you
know, terrific man, a mentor. I love that man. Guidance is terrific.
He's amazing, but their whole model is based on taking care of the frontline associates, because that's who's taking care of your customer. Absolutely. And if you get the order of operations right, take care of your associates who are taking care of your customers. By definition, your stakeholders.
That's right.
Which allows you to keep investing in the business in that virtuous circle that creates.
So well said. Just flew with them recently, and on my seat was "Thank you for your business." Personalized card that the flight attendant wrote. While we were flying. It was that's just those little touches. You'll remember those things.
Yeah, well, as a Cincinnati and somebody who is in Kroger a lot, I see that we live out in Mainville, and sure. There's a lady named Peggy who has been at that store. Well, right. We've lived in Cincinnati for 20 plus years. Right. When she sees me, she smiles at me. She knows my name. She calls me by name. I'm always kind of looking for her.
That's great. Yeah, that's it.
I have a friend at the Kroger.
Yeah, a lot of customers look in line for their Peggy, and that's your Kroger that you're going to, right?
Exactly. Yeah. We're going to talk diversity in a minute, and I've got another associate who I'm quite fond of. So again, kind of bringing this into maybe more of an HR functional conversation. Historically, HR, has been a lot about procedures, compliance, risk avoidance, things like that. And over the years, and I think probably very much with COVID, it jumped to the front of the strategic line, right? And your job became ultra important if it wasn't important enough already with 430,000 associates. That's insane. But how do you see HR at Kroger becoming more strategic? How has it become more strategic? And what would you share with your peers on what you guys have been able to do to bring that about?
Well, you said it very well, Bob. And I think what we've learned, especially over these past 3 years with COVID, with the social injustice that we saw, and we took a very active stand in trying to be proactive in returning America to work, and also taking a stand on a framework for respect and appreciation and inclusion for all. And one of the things we realized is that the people strategy and the people priorities are a leader-led initiative. They're leader-led expectations. We're here to enable, champion, coach, develop, be a counselor, be a confidant. But at the end of the day, the leader has to lead the people priorities. So we talk a lot about how do we go after and attract, develop, and retain our associates. We hire over 200,000 folks a year. We get over 3 million applications a year. And that has to happen through the leader taking an active role, just like they own profit and loss, and they own the products on our shelf and the decisions that they make. That's paramount. Second one is, how are we developing leaders? Each of us have had mentors, sponsors, folks that have helped us along to be where we are today. And we an expectation for all leaders is who's the next generation that you're bringing up in the future pipeline, that you're leading that effort with others helping you. And then finally, and we've learned this a lot, Bob, especially over the past 3 years, is how are we advocating for every associate and their well-being? And we've taken a very comprehensive approach that well-being, obviously emotional and the mental toil. And my goodness, are we seeing that today? Our stores, our parking lots, our fuel stations are really an example of society today. Yes. And we have things that are happening in our stores that are, people are acting out in our stores. And it's because it's the town center, if you will. Mm-hmm. So that's important, but we're also looking at how we provide safety from a well-being standpoint, how we're providing financial well-being. We're not going to be your financial planner, but when you have that many associates, and we go from 16 years of age, we have 18 people, Bob, that work for us that are over the age of 90.
And I thought you were going to say 80. I'm waiting for Tim to say 80.
Everybody in between, exactly. And one of the things we've done with a company that's affiliated with Goldman Sachs called ACO is we're providing financial well-being, financial education, how to save for a car, how to save for your first house, how to save for college, et cetera, trying to build skills to be more proficient financially in your life. And importantly, career well-being as well. As an individual understand what they're signing up for, what's expected in a role, how to help upskill and build capabilities. So when I say those things, connecting and retaining talent, developing leaders, and advocating for your associates and their well-being, those are leader expectations. So we flipped the people platform to be leader-led and what I call our people champions enabled versus it's something that HR is trying to drive. Yes, we're subject matter experts in compensation, and we'll have benefit experts, and we'll have labor relation contracts. But at the end of the day, it all has to be owned and led by our leaders, who then in turn help our associates serve our customers. And the more we can do that and take the mystique away, or that, hey, make the problem go away, or you have to enroll and be a part of it. And we want to equip you all with the guys that you're a general manager. You have financial understanding, you have data and technical understanding, and you have people understanding. And that's what we're trying to really focus on, is to create general managers, and how we're a big part of that three-legged stool.
Well, this is just really rich. I mean, it's not surprising Kroger's doing as well as you are. Because when you've got that kind of DNA that is driving the culture, that's helping both inform and execute the strategy. And that last little bit that you said really struck me, which is the bit like, this isn't a program coming from HR.
Right.
This is how we do business.
Right.
This is the business.
Exactly.
Right. And the fact that it's leader-led, as you're saying. And I do want to double click, because I know that you talked about this at SHRM, about the wellness piece. Yeah. I introduced this episode talking about Next Placement, which is our offering in the outplacement category. Yeah. And the key differentiator on that is to focus on mental well-being, right? There's natural turnover in a business, and it would be naive to say that there's not. There is, and that's okay. But when someone has experienced a loss, they're not ready to jump into tactical, okay, let's go work on your resume mode. Right?
Exactly.
That's a human being, not a cell on a spreadsheet.
Absolutely.
And similarly, that's very much what I'm hearing you say, that these are real people, and people need leaders. And we didn't get into this particularly in kind of the pre, but AI cannot be a leader.
No, they can't. And, you talked a bit about, what we also learned through COVID, lots of learnings there. And I also learned in the George Floyd incident, when we listened for understanding, and when our leaders were more vulnerable and authentic, we got the hearts and minds from our associates to lean in, and we had a better lens of what individuals were going through. And we've learned in this, looking at well-being and reflecting now, well-being's different than COVID is right now. We really have to keep leaning in that it's okay not to be okay. And that's one of my colleagues in one of our divisions said to me the other day, we have to normalize sharing. It's okay to share. I don't know what I don't know. So, it was before it was, hey, let's try to dot all the I's and cross all the T's before we bring you a problem. I think in today's environment, just like COVID, there was no playbook. We got together every day at 11 o'clock around, with the leaders around the country. We were an essential business. Our stores stayed open. Our pharmacies stayed open. We had to get product, to the stores, and we didn't have solutions. And I think that's today. We have to have that same sense of urgency that a sign of strength is asking for help. And I think that's it's a new piece. I follow Gary Burnison a lot, the CEO of Korn Ferry, and he talks about the 5 graces. And you gotta have courage, and you gotta raise your hand and you gotta have empathy. and still you got to make decisions, but you have to be listening for understanding versus listening to debate or listening to defend. And I think we're trying to, and we don't have to have all the answers, but I think we need to be much more authentic with our talent base, because they're going through a lot, and we want them to believe that they can be their genuine, authentic selves. And we've always provided flexibility. I think every company's provided flexibility, and we're in this debate of, are you in an office or flexible, et cetera? I think we have to balance preserving a culture where you want to bring people together, because the wisdom of the crowd is so important for innovation and for decision making, et cetera. It doesn't mean you also can't be flexible, and I need to go to my kid's play or practice or a doctor visit, or go with my mom to her doctor visit. That's right. Of course you do that. But that also doesn't mean I'm going to stay remote, leave my camera off, and not participate when I need to be somewhere. So we're in this. I don't know that it's a mandate that's worked. We've seen that in companies, and I don't know that that's the answer. But I also do know that we do need to come together when we need to come together, and we want to preserve the importance of collaboration. And I think so much of our leaders today are looking for help, and then no one signed up to be, the caretaker or the psychologist or anything like that, right? But we have to raise their awareness on observation and be more observant when someone's not acting like we know they, not carrying on the characteristics that we're used to, and we got to provide help.
Yeah, we're going to have a guest on coming up, Andrea Herron, who is the CHRO for WebMD. And she wrote a book with her sister called The Elephant in the Room.
Yes.
And she didn't know that her sister was having mental health issues and was struggling. And she's like, if I don't know my sister is having issues,
right in your backyard,
how about people that like I work with that I see every day and I don't know? A couple of things I want to go back to. One is, listening with an intention to understand. Johnny Taylor Jr., who you know very well, we just did a podcast episode on empathetic leadership.
Yes.
And I know he talks about extreme listening.
Yes.
And it's like, I am not trying to form the next thought in my mind of how I'm going to respond to what Tim just said. I actually want to listen and absorb and process what Tim just said.
Yeah, he does
Another
that well.
thing that you said that really struck me was, as leaders, we need to model these behaviors. We need, what did you say? To normalize sharing, and it's okay to not be okay.
Yes.
And I don't know where I first heard this, and I'm sure many people are already familiar with this, but vulnerability paradox, right? And one of the qualities that people most admire in other people is when they're being vulnerable and they tell the truth and they share, like, I'm not okay today.
Yes.
But it's the paradox is we love that in other people, but it's a thing that often we're the most afraid to give.
That's right.
Right. So once you can, and then so to your point about the 5 graces, then it takes courage to kind of break through that fear of being authentic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But when you can do that with a team, it is amazing how they flourish.
It really is, Bob. And that's, I think folks they will go through a wall for you. And also, I think picking up when you're listening for understanding without prying into their personal situation, you'll pick up things and then asking about those things. I really tried on each of my 16 direct reports. I try to know something about them, or a trip they're going on, or, what's going on with a parent or a child or their dog or a sister, or, so whatever is important to them. I think that's the piece. And, you're not going to remember everything, and nor do you need to be best friends, but you do need to show interest. I mean, these are folks that you spend more time with than your family in many regards, and that you call on for pieces. I heard recently at an HRPA group with fellow HR officers that I'm a part of. Priya Parker, who wrote a book called The Art of Gathering. I encourage you and others to, I think she's on to something about being intentional on when you gather. And, she talked about a dinner party. And when she invites somebody to a dinner party, she's in the first 5 minutes of that dinner party, make or break, whether it's an informal gathering or you're sitting at a table. And she goes out of her way to be intentional of why Bob is at my dinner party. And you can do it in a lot of different ways, but why am I here? And why am I with this group? And he talks about the power of, invitation. And I think in today's environment, where people are got so many options, and are really trying to protect their time, how do we ensure that we're intentional about when we need to come together? It's fascinating, and I think it's a form of listening. If we're more intentional on, if I'm telling you to come into office, then you sit in your workstation or your office and don't talk to anybody all day. What does that do for us? Versus let's come together. I see a lot of my colleagues now that do one-on-ones by walking around the city. They do, it's because they want to get out. Yep. They see somebody they haven't seen, but they feel energized. And not that you can do that for everything, but they're just trying to get ways to drive collaboration.
I think when you can connect with people and they know that you genuinely want to understand them and connect with them as a human being, not just a work producing unit.
Yes.
That's how you build relationship, and relationship is what builds trust. Because sometimes as leaders, we have to ask people to do something they do that they don't want to do, don't understand why they're being asked, aren't comfortable doing it, are afraid to do it, pick something. But if there's some initial resistance. But if I trust Tim and Tim asks me to do something that I don't really understand, but I do trust Tim has my best interests.
Yes.
Sure. Like, what else do you want me to do? I'm happy to go do that. But that takes time. And I love your word intentionality.
Yes.
This has to be intentional. Again, all of this to me kind of roots in authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
But these have to be authentic behaviors. I can fake some of it, but people pick up on that pretty quickly.
Absolutely. And I think in today's environment, I think people are, my youngest daughter has no filter, she says whatever's on her mind, and I think today's environment, there's no filter. There's more and more situations where there's no filter.
Okay. I want to pivot into diversity for a minute, if you don't mind. Sure. You guys recently achieved the top score on the Diversity Equality Index.
Yes.
Can you explain to people super quick what that is? And then I want to just dive into diversity.
Yeah, but as we look at our workforce, it's really practices and initiatives we have in place where we're giving where every associate has the ability to succeed, and it's really what are our policies and benefits in place that we employ a lot of individuals with special needs. Our benefits are contemporary across all demographics and interests. And we really look to see, we're doing a lot in the neuroscience arena as well. So again, your point earlier, Bob, about how are we finding new avenues for talent, and then in turn, how are we helping them lead productive lives? And one of the things we're very proud of is we have over 100 associate resource groups. One of them is called Our Abilities. Yes. And those are individuals that may have sensory issues or cognitive issues or other inhibitors that we really try to embrace, and actually through our associates, how they become a support group for one another, and also help us see how they can be, very strong contributors to our business. So it's those practices that we annually share with what we're doing, and we always want to benchmark ourselves against. And we received that perfect score once again, and it's led by our chief diversity leader and his team that helped bring that together. But it really is through our stores and our facilities and warehouses and plants where it all comes to life.
As a customer, you did a post on this, I think, last week that you guys had gotten that recognition.
Yes.
And I commented on it. At the Harper's Point store in Cincinnati,
great store.
There's a young man named Robbie who has Down syndrome.
Yep.
And I used to lead before COVID. We now do it by Zoom, but a men's group, and we would meet at the coffee
in Harper's
area, right in that store, which I think has now been remodeled from that.
Yeah.
But we saw Robbie every week, and Robbie is a Special Olympics athlete.
Yep.
He's an amazing skier. He's a really good golfer. But back to like Robbie was part of my community, is part of my community, which is really, really cool. But it also, again, for me, you can win awards and whatever, but I was seeing it firsthand that young man and other folks that you could tell had some challenges, but they were welcomed and were thriving within the Kroger culture.
Absolutely. We had a meeting yesterday with our Albertsons leadership team as part of the potential merger we're looking at. And we start every meeting, Bob, with what we call an uplift. I mean, you would appreciate this. And it really is, it's a story like Robbie or somewhere. Hey, what happened yesterday where we saw something good happen in our stores or in our workplace? And we asked Albertsons to share one of their stories yesterday and what they do with their stores. And they highlighted a young man who's blind, and he's a beggar, at the end of the aisle there, bagging your groceries. And they showed how this young man was able through touch to know how to bag hot and cold, perishable, non-perishable, soft hard, and how he became so skilled at it. At the same time, he was carrying on a conversation with the customers that they had a line outside down the aisle because they all wanted to be in his lane, and how he made them feel, and that how special it was. So that's another great example.
So we talked earlier about, no filters, people wanting to bring their whole self to work and that being encouraged. So the problem with diversity is you get diversity, right? And so not everybody sees eye to eye on everything. And, and of course, inclusion then becomes very closely related to diversity because we can demographically hit quotas if that's the way that we chose to look at it. Right. But the real magic is in the inclusion part. Yes. What are your lessons on how to have people that might be at polar ends of an issue? Because you guys truly do cover all the geography of American society, both from your customer base and your associate base. How do you manage the diversity in dialogue and in engagement?
Well, I think one of the pieces you hear, in addition to Feed the Human Spirit, we talk about fresh for everyone. And we really mean for everyone. And we really approach it more out of we respect and appreciate each customer and what they stand for, what they bring, and also each associate. And as long as we're following our values, and that you can shop in a safe environment, you can work in a safe environment, you can be with integrity and respect and honesty, then we're going to be open for business. And we look to value differences and try to encourage forums where differences we can debate, we can agree, we can disagree, but then we move forward based on our values on what we stand for. We're not a quota company, but we are more of we want to embrace, again, people from all demographics, from all backgrounds, from all experiences. Bob, this from P&G and was mainly a build from within. Kroger was a lot build from within. The external came at Kroger from merged companies that brought different talent in. I've been here now 13 years, 9 in the top chair. And, even 13 years ago, it wasn't very common to come in from the outside if you weren't from a merger. And if you did, it was primarily came in as a functional expert in technology or finance or tax or HR. Now you're seeing where we're bringing in more individuals externally in merchandising, in operations, kind of the crown jewels, if you will, of the business, not from a merger. And again, it's because we value different experiences, and we need talent with different backgrounds to help drive a strategic focus area. So we will always lean, Bob, on respect and appreciation for our customers and for our associates. And even in today's environment with all that's being said about diversity and inclusion, I believe the long game and the right game is to stay foundational in our beliefs. And that's what we will continue to do.
Well, I just hashtag respect and appreciation, because that really is, if I can be respectful, because we can disagree without being disagreeable. And I know that's a cliche, but cliches tend to become them for good reasons. But honestly, like being respectful, right, and appreciating, even though I don't completely understand where you're coming from, Tim, or why you're taking that position.
Correct.
I respect you. You're my colleague, and we can continue to dialogue. And once the decision's been made, we're all on Team Kroger, right, and we'll move forward accordingly. So kind of last little bit of topic here.
Sure.
Is, and this is one of my favorite questions to ask our guests. When you think about you're interviewing somebody to come join the team, and maybe this is a good example that you just gave, somebody who comes from outside of Kroger, so they're not already imbued in Krogerness. Is that a word? What are the character qualities? What are the attributes that you're looking for in new associates?
Number one, I think in today's environment, you have to be a collaborator. My boss, my chairman and CEO, Roddy McMullen, who just celebrated his 45th year yesterday, always says that no one, and especially since COVID, Bob, no one can solve anything on their own. And if you're sitting in a room with a bunch of colleagues that are in the same function or the same role or the same profession, you don't have a tenth of the solution, because today's environment requires so much cross-functional insight and different perspectives. And that's, again, back to that general manager piece. You can't just look at it from a finance view or from a people view or a marketing view. But when you bring it all together, I can help influence the message we want to share about the company, and how we grow and how we save money and make money, that type of thing. So I do think collaboration and being able to collaborate across different areas of the business. And, I truly believe, maybe not in my lifetime, Bob, been at it for a while, but I think functions go away. And I think it's more about teams, working teams, that individuals bring skills and capabilities. And it's kind of like, Houston, we have a problem, and you bring people in a room. How do we solve it? Yes, you'll have individual contributors that we need to, solve Friday's payroll and experts. But by and large, I think collaboration is going to be key. Other piece we look for, Bob, is we get knocked for this sometimes, but we are humble, and we appreciate humbleness. We want you to be self-confident, but also we believe being humble allows you to be more open, that you're always learning, and there's always a better idea, and that you're curious, that you want to continue to learn. And I think individuals, I rarely state, my days at Procter and Gamble, we did X, Y, Z. Of course, I'm blessed with 21 years, just like your time there. That will always be, a foundation that I'll forever be grateful for. But I don't lead with Procter and Gamble. I lead from my experience, or seeking to understand and pulling from Procter's purpose values. They're the same as, they were similar values to what I'm doing here. So again, value driven, principle driven. Those are also some of the areas we look for. And someone who's a team player. I mean, someone who wants to, again, be part of something bigger. And finally, we're in the food business. We're not asking you to be the best cook, but you got to like food, or you got to like selling. You got to help making people's day. And, we always say that it's not about the price of wine. A good bottle of wine is who you share it with. And if that's a great experience. You remember the experience. It's not about how expensive that bottle of wine was, but boy, I remember having a great meal with Bob, and that dinner will stick in my memory. That's what we're trying to create. We're trying to create memorable moments and impressions, and we need individuals that want to do that and want to be some part of something larger than themselves. If it's about you, of course, we want people to grow and develop, and you can come for a job, and we say discover a career. We used to say come for a job and stay for a career. We've adjusted that over the past few years because people have a lot of choices. Our hope is you're going to discover a career, and we've got every possible opportunity here. And if not here, we've made you a better citizen, a better individual, and a better team player that you can go fulfill your dreams outside of here, and hopefully look to us and say, my first job was in a grocery store, or my first job was in the marketing department supporting Kroger, and boy, was that beneficial. So those are a few of the areas we look at to help us. I also find that you can never solve a decision in one time, and I like to see someone 2 or 3 times, and I like to see them in different settings. I like to see how they treat the waitress or the hostess when we're at a restaurant. How did you treat the person who's cleaning our floors when you saw them in the hallway? You treat them with the same respect as you treated me. And those little things, I think, that matter. That's a big deal for us. We had our president in Cincinnati was just in our business courier, and she said, it's not beneath anyone to pick up a few pieces of trash and to pull in the carts from the parking lot. That's all of our jobs. And I think the more we can stay humble to that regard, I think that's who we're looking for.
So super quick on collaboration, you reminded me of something that a mutual friend said, David Taylor. He's amazing. But we had David on last year, and he said, none of us is better than all of us.
That's right.
And that is just like tattooed in my brain, that none of us is better than all of us. The other thing, just to pick up very quickly on something that you said that is something I've learned here over the past few months, is this idea of being okay that your career may not be with us forever. Right. But our relationship extends beyond your employment dates.
That's right.
That's a big idea. And that's a fairly radical change from, well, okay, you don't work here anymore, so we don't have a whole lot to talk about, versus boomerangs, alumni network. You might go be working now for a supplier or somebody else that's part of our ecosystem, which would not be unlikely, right? Because you're probably going to land in an adjacent industry, and really seeing the relationship beyond employment dates.
Well, you hit it. I mean, we were in the Wall Street Journal recently on the number of boomerangs that have come back to us over the past few years that felt it was greener somewhere else, and then realized, it was a few more dollars, but you know what? I had no network. I didn't like the culture, and it wasn't what I shaped out to be. Now, that's not for everybody, but that does happen. And to be able to leave with your head held high and the door being open for return has been highly beneficial for us. Additionally, Bob, if you were an employee for us, we sure hope you're a customer. So we always say you're a customer for life. And we hope that you'll continue to do business with us. And we wish you nothing but the best. At the same time, the 2% that go against our policy, go against our values or our principles, we're also quick to make a decision on and really serve as a reminder that what we will and won't tolerate. So that's that's important too. But we think in today's environment, and especially with close to 90% of our workforce, Bob, is an hourly worker, and they in many cases it could be a student with coming in for to work a seasonal role, or it could be an individual returning after being out of the workforce, or somewhere in between. It's all about flexibility and the schedule they want, et cetera. We've got to be flexible to help meet their needs, but also to leave the door open if they want to return.
Last question before we wrap up.
Sure.
We both have now had distinguished careers for some number of years, right? And we have had mentors, and I suspect that you are quite a mentor in your own right. But how would you talk about the role of mentors in your career and mentoring?
Well, I will, like you, Bob. I mean, you're an ambassador and a role model for this whole profession. But I look back on the individuals, and I think about my time at P&G. It really is. It's a journey, and it's not a race. And where times where you were disappointed, or I was disappointed with, why wasn't I considered for this? And I hearken back to those mentors that would say it's a long game, and you're right where you need to be. And some of the best advice I ever received that I use with my team, and they'll say it at my funeral, is bloom where you're planted. And I think if you can focus on being present and focus on, not that you're not interested in what could be possible, but if you focus on the team you have, the areas you're supposed to focus on, and also to eat the meal that you're cooking. That means you got to sit around for a little bit. It's not flash in the pan where I'm here for 12, 18 months and keep moving on, and I don't experience that. That taught me early on that served me well. And I try to relay that in today's environment with individuals that are probably a little less patient than I was, the beauty of that and the beauty of relationships. And like you, I get more thrill out of the individuals that each of us have impacted and made a difference for. And then I look at the individuals that are the younger generation that are going to take it to a whole new level than us. And, as Bob McDonald, the former CEO at P&G, always said, and I always believe in that, is standing on the shoulders of others. And that's what I also try to do every time I help someone get into a new role, is how do you not break them down and say what was wrong? What he or she did and the challenges he or she faced are different than what you face. And the only way you're going to get better is to stand on their shoulders versus to come in and crap all over it and act like you're the savior. That's not the point. You want to take it to a different level, thankful of the individuals that were before you. So I talk about that a lot. I talk about blooming where you're planted. And I think those are two pieces of advice that I think I have hearkened on. And then finally, the first leader in my first job in Charlotte, North Carolina, a leader told me, there's nothing you can do that we can't fix as long as you don't lie, cheat, and steal. And again, it goes back to the values. As long as I'm following values, hey, we're going to make mistakes. I hope I don't make the same mistake twice, but we're going to learn fast. But it helped me take informed risk taking, and it helped me feel comfortable to raise my voice with my opinion, but also to flex and adapt and listen for others and be able to, I don't have to be the loudest voice in the room. Those are a few things that I would say through almost 35 years that it comes down to those things. And I think that's what our individuals in today's society, they want to make a difference. They want to know where they stand, and they want to be given an opportunity to perform.
Well, one of the things, and we're going to wrap this up, but what I just get so much joy out of listening to you talk, you're an optimist. You believe in the human spirit. You are an empowerer of people. You believe in people's potential. And when you can go to work every day knowing that hopefully some of the fruit of what I did today is going to help somebody be a better version of themselves, it's pretty rewarding.
Well, you know that as well as anybody, Bob. And I think it's you just kind of one individual at a time. And if you can just make somebody's day a little bit brighter, we all get hit with I walked in today to 5 things that I didn't think I was walking into, but I look back on it, and the 2 things this morning that I would say, well, he mucked up my schedule, were probably the most impactful things I could have. I'm glad I was here to be a part of it. And awesome. So I think you're right. And this is means the world to me. I needed this exchange. You've got a wonderful thing going, and I wish you nothing but the best with your future guests. And if there's anything else I can ever do to help repay or serve you, I would be honored.
Well, I think that probably would include allow me to buy you a nice glass of wine someplace. So
We'll,
yes,
we'll do that.
Okay, Tim, thank you so much. Good luck with everything that you're working on. I hope that the merger goes the way that you guys want it to go. But you're really a fountain of wisdom and inspiration, and we are just very blessed that you chose to spend a few minutes with us today. So thank you for doing that.
See you around town, Bob. Thanks again.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. Please feel free to subscribe, like, comment on YouTube, as well as rate and review on your favorite podcast platform. And with that, Tim, bless you and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Bless you.